You are listening to the Mountainside Podcast, and our guest for this episode is NHL veteran and Stanley Cup champion Scott Parker. Was able to join us in studio today. He was one of the most feared hockey enforcers to ever lace up and play the game. It was awesome to sit down and do a deep dive on some of his hockey career, his background, and some of the current things that Scott has got going on today. It was a great episode, and I hope you enjoy the listen. Thank you for joining us, man. This is super rad. I got some Stanley Cup Avalanche royalty in here on the Mountainside.
Heck yeah, bro. Thanks for having us on, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for all the awesome gifts, too.
You're welcome.
I'm going to light one of these up tonight over a glass of tequila or something.
Hell yeah. That'll be good.
Well, like I said, huge Avalanche fan. It's an honor to have you in here. Bucket list guest for me, for sure. You know, being one of the baddest ass motherfuckers in all of hockey, in my opinion, and watching you play back in the day, I guess I just want to dive right into it. Like, let's talk about some enforcing in NHL hockey.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so diving into that, I guess what was kind of the catalyst for you getting into hockey in the first place and then finding yourself in that enforcer role?
Well, really, the catalyst to get me into was living in Alaska. And in third grade, I took a piece of paper home. It said, learn how to play hockey. So I took it to my parents and said, what's hockey? And, you know, I was born in California, so we lived there prior to Alaska. So there was a little bit of hockey in Cali back in the day, but not a lot. And so my parents were like, let's figure it out. So, you know, they did a little research, and there was no internet back in the day. I mean, you had to like call someone and be like, what's hockey? So, you know, this is back in the 80s. So, you know, just did that, and the whole family got skates, and we skated as a family, and it just took off for me from there, because 9 months out of the year is winter in Alaska, so doing a winter sport kept me busy, kept me, you know, without driving my mom too crazy. So, and then when it came to the whole fighting side, it was really just my size. You know, I was always brought up to keep your hands to yourself, and, you know, I went to Sunday school and all that stuff, so I was always taught certain things, and then I grew 4 inches in one summer when I was about 14, 15, and I just sprouted big quick. And then everybody's like, oh, the big kid, let's poke him. And I'd never been in a fight in my life, and people are picking on me. I'm like, why? But oddly enough, everybody wants to pick on the big guy to see if they can take him out.
Because I'm not a small guy either, so like I found myself in a few bars every now and then, you know, where it's just like guys target you or something.
Yeah,
it's like
very strange, but just being large and kind of being put into that role. Because when I was in juniors up in Canada, we had kind of lost our enforcers. Jamie Butt, he had a back injury, career ending, and then one of our other guys, Dale Parrington, which played in the NHL, he got traded. So there was nobody to really protect the guys, and I'm looking around like, well, who's going to do it? So I just kind of stepped into that role, and it just kind of blossomed from there. So
growing up in Alaska, I mean, you kind of have to be an outdoors person, right, to be up there. Was the hockey outdoors up there? Or?
A lot of it was, yeah. I mean,
so you guys are playing in the dark pretty much. I mean, it's dark.
Well, yeah,
much year-round
basically, yeah. Your parents throwing on the car lights is kind of your lighting of the rink. And,
that's awesome.
Yeah, just don't shoot towards the cars. And it was like, you know, a whole thing. And you know, it's like what they do up in Canada and everywhere else. It's just the love of the game, and you do what you have to. And there was many times where we'd wait until there was huge windstorms, because it would clear off all the snow on the ponds and the lakes, and we'd just skate across lakes and be out there all day long playing. And you're skating across it, and the thing's cracking and making noises and doing everything, but it's just old school, and it's kind of just taking it back, like that Mystery Alaska, like just playing on a pond, you know, with your buddies. So
and probably no Zamboni or anything like that.
Oh,
right?
no.
Like, so
yeah, you bring a
really
shovel.
Makes you be a good skater.
Oh yeah, you bring your own shovel and your own pucks, and you just hope that you take all the pucks home with you that you brought that day, or you donated them to the lake. So
yeah. I wonder how many are in the bottom of the lake right here, you know, because we got 2 or 3 ice rings up here, and I grew up playing. There was nothing else to do in this town, you know, growing up here, and it was either play hockey or sit at home. So there was no, I think we might have had a Nintendo or something at that point, but that was like, it's pretty lame, you know, when you can only afford 2 games, like Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, like I'm going to go play hockey.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Yeah, it was fun, man. But pond hockey, not even comparable to what you've been through.
True. Yeah. Well, it's just kind of nice when you get to the show level and, you know, somebody's, you know, putting your gear out for you, and you're not having to deal with, stinky gear. Or, we're really fortunate to have really good equipment guys once you get to that level, and, they take care of you. So it definitely does, kind of pave the way, and you have a sense of relief. You don't always just look at it like, oh, I've made it, I don't have to do anything. You still have to work your ass off, but it's just nice when you work up to that level and you're not putting on cold gear and wet gear from the day before. So, yeah.
So was hockey pretty much life up there, or did you guys do stuff outside of there? I mean,
well, my dad was a federal game warden, so yeah, fortunately he was kind of gone. I wouldn't say a lot, but he'd be on deployments for weeks on end, and my mom's trying to get me to hockey practices and games, and trying to do stuff with my sister, and just trying to be a family in Alaska. And my folks did as much as they could, and I'm super fortunate to have the folks I did that allowed me to play the sports. And it's not a cheap sport, so when you break a stick, you look up in the stands and your parents are cringing, and you're like, oh shit, but just that's what's kind of the cool things to look back onto and say where you came from, where you got to. So all those early mornings and late nights really paid off, and I have my parents to really thank for a lot of that. So
that's awesome having that support. I got to thank my parents for everything, putting me through football and all that sort of stuff, and grandparents too, because I didn't grow up with a dad, so if it wasn't for them, I would probably be in jail, or who knows where, dead maybe in a ditch.
Just never know, eh? Yeah.
So your dad was a federal game warden, huh? Like we've had a few game wardens in here. I don't think we've ever had a federal one in, but that's pretty high level for a game warden. You're going after some bad motherfuckers.
Oh yeah, they went after a lot of
poachers and
there's a lot of the ivory trade up there too, with the walruses and just animals being taken out of season, when they're running animals on planes and tiring them out and just running them ragged to where you can walk up to them and just put a gun to the back of their head. That's not sport. And that's the stuff my dad really fought against, was just doing it sustainably and smart, and do stuff that, like, why would you want to take advantage of an animal like that? And like, what's the story behind that? You want the story that you hiked in 10 miles up 4 feet of snow to get to this, to get to this animal. Like, how can you tell a story that I just flew over it multiple times, tired it out, and then put a gun to the back of his head? Like, you're a dipshit.
Yeah,
like people
that's
like
not
that.
Hunting, man.
No,
that's killing.
That's chicken shit. Yeah. Plus, the animals up there, they're massive. Like the moose,
bears.
Everything up there. Everything wants to eat you, all the way down to the mosquitoes. They're taking liters of blood a day too, and it's like, oh shit. But it's just, it's magnificent place, and it's awesome. And if guys like that don't take care of, the wildlife and the outdoors, then unfortunately people take advantage, and it won't be around very long. So
yeah, man, that's one thing that we're adamant about here, is just, treating it the right way, whether you know or not, and promoting just being a good steward of the land, right?
Yeah.
Like, be a good steward.
Well, try to leave it better. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing people lose. And, they bring all their stuff and they're rowdy and woohoo, and like, there's always stuff you can do better. Like, even like every time we go snowmobiling up in the hills, we always do it like kind of an offering to Mother Nature. We'll bring food up for the birds or the squirrels or the whatever, and like, you give back and you take care of, and then Mother Nature takes care of you. But if you keep taking, then she's gonna whoop your ass. So
no, there's nothing more true than that. So I guess growing up there, were you a hunter and that sort of thing? Or were you guys in a major city, or where were you at?
In Eagle River, right outside of Anchorage. So nice. I think back in the day, maybe 15,000 people in Eagle River, give or take maybe 20. But I was so young. Population density and even driving. Like, I got my license up there and I was able to drive and everything, but we had left when I was 15. So that's when it was like, okay, right when I was starting to kind of get the freedom of, it doesn't take that long to get somewhere, but when mom and dad are driving, it takes forever. And you're like, God, foot on the gas. But right. Doing stuff like that. But no, it was a great childhood, and, a lot of fun up there.
I can imagine, man. I'm a little bit jealous. I love it up there.
Yeah.
It's an incredible spot. This is great too, but it's just another level of wilderness and just awesome country up there.
Oh yeah. No, it's pretty big. And yeah, even like where we would hunt too would be Kodiak Island, which is just south of Seward there. So that's where I got my first black-tailed deer when I was 9 years old. So
wow.
Yeah, we started young. My dad was a big hunter, and he was a gunner in a helicopter in Vietnam, so he was in the Army, and So he was really proficient with weapons prior to even going into the whole federal side of law enforcement. And, that's another reason why we have our nonprofit, Parker's Platoon. We help veterans transition when they come home. So
yeah, and I actually have a friend, or we have a mutual friend that's in that. Shout out to Beto.
Yeah, what's up, Beto?
Face Blades.
Hell
and,
yeah.
He's been a big supporter of the podcast since we started. I think he was our 40th episode, and then he was our 100th, and we did a blade giveaway. And
wow.
He's just an awesome dude. So
he makes unbelievable stuff.
Incredible. They're works of art.
Well, when you see it on picture, it doesn't do it justice. When you hold it in your hand and you feel the craftsmanship, you're just like, holy shit, this is top notch. So,
or even putting them to work, man.
Oh, God,
they're
yeah.
incredible, man. I'm definitely an end user of them,
They're not just to look at. So.
No. But no, I have a small collection of his stuff, and he's a great dude. But tell me about Parker's Platoon and what you guys are doing there, since you brought it up.
Yeah, basically, we kind of started it. My dad, like I said, was in Vietnam, and my wife's dad was a Marine, and unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. But we just felt passionate about it. We saw kind of the change happening, but it wasn't really happening fast enough. On really, starting the slow clap in the airport's awesome, but even going that extra mile and actually just helping or talking to or just getting to know the guys, there's a lot that goes into it, and it's amazing just the camaraderie and just having them being able to talk to you or have a safe place to be where they don't have to look over their shoulders. And the big thing we notice is when we get them kind of worked in, or we get them where they want to be, then they're in the now. They're not in 5 years ago where they had PTS, or they lost their buddy in a shootout, and it just all those things that really work on them day to day, that they're trying to put those demons away. So just showing them fun stuff and showing them everything they fought so hard for. So let's go enjoy it. That's kind of the precipice.
So is it outdoor adventures, or what are you got?
A lot outdoors.
Cater to the person or the individual, I guess.
Yeah, we really try to get to know the individual and kind of their likenesses, or, most of them are kind of outdoors anyway, because that's the world they're in. So, just getting them out on a stream and fishing, or just going for a hike, or go snowmobiling and getting them to the top of a peak and just looking out and seeing, how vast and how big it is and how safe we are. And we don't have bombs going off over us. We don't have bullets strafing by our heads. And, it's because of those men and women that 100%. Do the greatest job
so grateful
in the world.
For all that.
Yeah, I mean, they're the best. So, that's why we enjoy them immensely, and everything they've done for us and all the sacrifice they've given.
That's super awesome, man. I think that there's a real value in connecting with nature no matter what you're doing. I mean, even if it's just going on a hike or a drive, maybe you can't go on a hike. I mean, just driving from, where you live over Berthoud Pass to here, there's some incredible scenery along the way. And we actually had set the podcast up prior to that, but it was avalanche danger. We couldn't get you over, right? Because they were shutting down Berthoud Pass and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, just being out in it, or even in this area, is incredible, So
it is. Yeah, I mean, the Rocky Mountains are beautiful, and there's so much to see. And like we were talking earlier, being good stewards of the land and just leaving it better. And there's just something that goes hand in hand with that, and just getting people reintroduced. And like you said, nature's nurture. So it's amazing how well it can make you feel, and how it can, like I said, really bring you in the now and really just enjoy life. So, that's kind of the big thing we like to push, and, really just get the guys is transition as quick as we can, because we want them to enjoy the longest normal life that they can without having those night sweats or not sleeping or just feeling like shit. So that's
valuable, man. I commend you for doing that. That's super
Thanks,
rad.
brother.
Yeah, and I know what kind of time and effort goes into that. It's not just a walk in the park, I'm going to do this, So I commend you for that, man. That's super rad.
Thanks, bro.
So if somebody's listening to this, we've had a lot of former, military guys on, some active. And if somebody's listening to this, I think we have quite a few people, or quite a bit of our listener base might be military, or some of them might be active, just with some of the guests that we've had on the podcast. If they wanted to reach out and get in touch with you guys to maybe hook up and do something, how would they go about doing that? You guys have a website?
Yeah, we do. Sure? Yeah, it's parkersplatoon.org. Go on there and you can reach out. We got contact list. We have all the stuff, and there it is right there. So, Yeah, that's basically what we do.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah, you can contact us and reach out. Based up in Grand Lake and up in the mountains, and we just think that there's something special about that. Because talking to the guys and having them telling us stories.
It's a beautiful spot.
Oh, we love it.
Incredible.
But them even being down in the Front Range in the city, driving around the VA 10 times trying to find a parking spot and losing their mind and just driving home. It's like, they need, just someone sometimes just to talk to that listens. And, we try to really link up, sometimes like a vet of a sport as well as, the veteran of our armed forces, and try to link them together with like-minded. Some guys like to fish, some guys like to, go on walks, some guys like to travel. So really just trying to link guys up that are kind of transitioning together. We try to do that as well to get, more brotherhood outside of, for one, our sport, and two, their military world, where sometimes when you're out, you don't just get to go on base and be like it was yesterday, because once you're out, you're kind of out, and then you're like, what do I do now? So,
well, I think what I found, like with a lot of those guys, and Beto's a great example of that. He's built his own little community around him with Half-Face Blades, and a lot of the guys that work for him are veterans and that sort of thing. And we've recorded 2 episodes at his shop, which was super rad. But it's like a band of brothers in there, or a little clique or a gang or a team, a tribe, whatever you want to call it. And I think that he's probably built that around him just because you miss that camaraderie. I mean, I think you can probably attest to this too. That's a huge part of, I don't want to go down this road too crazy, but masculinity to me, and I can't stand that we're squashing masculinity now, or this toxic masculinity bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And we don't even need to get into that, but I think, having camaraderie and having your boys around you, and having friendships and bonds and going through some adversity together is so great, right? And you can face adversity pretty quick in the outdoors. So I think I think it's a great way to bond and a great way to put some of that camaraderie back into it. And do you find, I kind of find that like pro athletes, and I can't speak for them, and military guys, and I'm not comparing the two because they're two different things, right? Like you guys go to battle, they go to war, totally different line in the sand there. But after leaving pro hockey, I would imagine you miss a lot of that camaraderie, that time in the locker room, the time, around your teammates, and those bus rides and plane rides that sucked. You kind of make up for it in busting each other's balls and just the little things like that, right?
Well, that's what it's about. And it's kind of like having you're the big brother mentality, or the little brother, and you see a disheveled rookie walk in the room and you're like, come over here, tell me what happened. There was just something about having that, and just, laughing and having that brotherhood / camaraderie. And like we've always said too, like with military and the whole hockey world with athletes, is kind of same team, different mission. We all have the same likenesses. We all like to do the same things. We're team sport, but we do different stuff. But, I think after the fact, you can still come together once you're done and out, because, like you said, of the likenesses and, repetition. They couldn't do what they did, 100,000 times as well as us without, wanting to do it. Some people can't do that, but our OCD, and we're just, I'll do that 1,000 times.
Not only are they getting something out of it, it sounds like you are too, Oh,
definitely. Yeah. It's just that brotherhood, and just really, it's just really getting to see them transition where they were maybe 2-3 years ago to where they are now. Just that alone is enough for us too, because to see them being good patrons and in society, being able to mold back into that, and to not just be a hermit and being up in the hills and just, being that crazy Vietnam, Rambo type mentality, just getting people back in and just kind of teaching them kind of real world things. Because even in hockey, you're in the hockey bubble and you only learn so much because the hockey bubble's so small, but the world's so big. But they kind of keep you in that bubble, and you kind of know what they want you to know. But other than that, like, I'm sure now with social media it's a lot different. But back when I was playing, we barely had cell phones. It wasn't really a thing. But now everybody's in everybody's shit these days. So I don't know what it is these days. But yeah, it's.
I don't know about you too, but those are some of my favorite people to be around, because they are just truth tellers, man. They are what you get. That sort of saying. they won't bullshit you. That's why I love having those guys in here and people like you, because it's just, you know what you're getting into. They'll tell you if they don't agree with you.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people will come in and just sit there and agree with everything that you say, you know? So I think that's, I love being around them. I love being in the outdoors with them. And yeah, so I think you're really onto something. So obviously, you know, outdoor stuff gets kind of expensive when you start buying gear or going on trips, or maybe you guys are going, you know, for several days or something on some sort of trip.
Mm-hmm.
You're probably not funding this all yourself, right? Is there a way for people to help? I'm sure that you guys being a nonprofit, you take donations.
We do. I mean, you know, we always say we're the worst fundraisers ever. So whenever we kind of need something, you know, my wife Francesca,
I have a hard time with it too, man.
Yeah, she just kind of reaches in and we just make it happen. You know, even like one of the service dogs was actually coming to her, and good old Sicario, Belgian Malinois, from Warrior's Choice down in Florida. So,
great guys. We've been talking with Anthony quite a bit.
Awesome, man. Anthony Longo, great
Shout
guy.
out.
Yeah. Warrior's Choice does a great job being able to get these veterans really good, you know, dogs. And literally, we were sitting in the living room. Anthony had just flown to Colorado, and we were sitting in the living room, and one of the SEALs calls my wife, and he had kind of planted the seed maybe 6 months prior, but we kind of believe in, you know, things happening for a reason. And when he called, when, you know, Sicario's sitting right there, and she's like, boys, we have a change of plans. And basically she felt enough to where she wanted to gift the dog to that veteran, because it was just the right thing to do. And it's amazing how that's helped him in the long run, and all the years that he's had him, and the difference it's made in his life. So we've seen firsthand how, you know, those animals and just little things that you can do positively for those guys can make, you know, a huge difference.
I know how happy my dog makes me. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, she doesn't judge me. That's for sure. Oh, that's incredible, man. So, so drop the website one more time. And I urge you, if you're a listener and you have the means to maybe donate to a good cause, donate to Parker's Platoon and help these guys out, help some veterans out. They've sacrificed enough for us. I think it's, you know, I try to give back whenever I can. So,
I appreciate it. You know, every little bit adds up, and, you know, definitely going to a good cause. So
parkersplatoon.org. Thanks, Jeremy. So awesome. Tell me about Taboo Social Club too. Is that associated with Parker's Platoon? Or
it is actually a little bit. You know, basically every rollie, we call them rollies instead of joints, because people get their nose out of whack when you say joints. But it's basically, you know, our pre-rolled hemp products that we have actually some herbs in as well.
Super cool.
Started that for basically just an alternative, and to have something. We actually have a blend in there that's an Adderall, so it's all natural kind of Adderall.
So are these all different? Or are they the same?
Yeah, and I'll show you which ones are what here in a little bit, and then, but basically to have the different stuff. So we have, you know, Adderall, and then we have the Hypnose, which is kind of your nighttime one. So it's got lavender, and it's got all these great herbs in there that kind of just drop your shoulders, calm you out, stop the hamster wheel from rolling.
So is this straight CBD, or is there THC?
No, straight CBD. So yeah, it's basically non-psychoactive. So you're going to get basically all the benefits without the high. So that's kind of why we're doing it as well, because not everybody can utilize the whole THC or the cannabis market because of what they do. Yeah. So even being able to have this.
It's so next level now, too.
It is. Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff out there now is like 40% over, and you're like,
it's
what
crazy.
I mean, some people take that and it'll freaking put them in a coma. Like, it's like, it is very, very insane these days. But that's why we have this product too, to kind of help and, you know, basically get all the benefits without the psychoactive high, and then, you know, just be able to go throughout your day just feeling better and doing more and getting more accomplished, more fulfilling.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then you guys have some canine products.
Yep.
A lot of tinctures. You have a topical solve too.
Yep. Yeah, that's our Apollo, our pain liniment. So,
nice.
It's in an oil dropper. Put some in your hand, put it on the spot, and it's amazing. You know, it's stuff that really it does help, and it's, you know, we can't obviously make medical claims, but, you know, we feel that there's stuff in there that helps rather than just masks the issue. So you're doing worse for that area, and then you have something worse off in the long run, like a full-on tear or full surgery. So not saying that it's going to fix everything, but it'll make you feel better and hopefully do more throughout the day. And like I say, feel more fulfilled. So
nice.
Yeah.
And you can get this, you can purchase online. You guys ship to all like 50 states?
We do.
Or?
Yep. It's just taboosocialclub.com. So, yeah, you can go check that out. We do e-commerce and all that stuff. And, it's, see if we get her pulled up. And there she is.
Cool.
Yeah, that's the page
Derek,
right there.
Shout out Derek right there. You guys were hanging out with him this morning, huh?
Yep. D. Wolf, and then we got Adam Foote, the next picture there.
Oh, yeah.
So, my old captain.
The old teammate.
Yeah. Footy's a great guy. And what's crazy is both of his boys play in the league now. And when my son was actually younger, we called him their Manny. So instead of a nanny, he was their Manny. But, he just took care of him and got him around to practices and some of the games and really just helped Adam and Jen out back in the day because – having both boys playing sports as well as Adam, and Jen was kind of pulling her hair out, so Deej went and helped the Foote family out there for a few years, and I think that was when Duchesne was living too, wasn't he? Yeah,
it was a shit show.
Yeah, playing a lot
that
of
team, man. Like, God, it genuinely sparked a love for hockey and the Avalanche for me, because you had Borg on there, Waugh, yourself, Foote. I'm trying to think. Forsberg was on that team, right? So we're talking
Drury
2001 and Stanley Cup champs that year. And the game has changed so much now.
So much. Yeah.
In the 90s, it was kind of like a rough, and it was kind of at the pinnacle of what I like, the hockey I like to watch because of people like you. And it's just so exciting. But it's changed so much now, right? Why do you think the NHL has demonized kind of those enforcers or that role a little bit?
Well, like you were saying too, I liked going to a fight in a hockey game with breakout mentality because there was emotion on the ice, and I don't want to have more emotion in the stands than they do on the ice playing the sport, and that's what it kind of seems like these days. And they're kind of taking away a lot of the toughness, and like you said, they're demonizing the enforcer role, saying that we created all these injuries and these issues, which I think we stopped a lot of injuries by keeping guys accountable and, putting them on the level, saying, you do that to my guy, I'm going to do it to your guy, but I'm going to raise the bar. So don't hit my guy. So there was a lot to it that really, I think they're kind of leaving up to the refs in the league these days. But I think having somebody on the other team that may rip your head off the next game goes a lot further than just getting fined $25,000. And you're like, okay, that's not a big deal. But if you may...
Accountability, right?
Exactly. You may miss 10 games because you got a broken, skull. you're thinking, well, I don't want to do that. So then maybe you don't hit that guy as hard as you thought you were going to, or maybe slash him or take advantage of a guy on a team that maybe you wouldn't do if somebody else was on that bench.
I didn't mean to laugh at you a minute ago, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I was thinking, shout out to Chris Camozzi, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
He's the one that connected the two of us, and thank you, DJ, for setting this all up as well. But I saw a short clip from the Fit Soda podcast, and it was you, and I actually remember watching this game, and you guys were playing the Nashville Predators. You got thrown in the penalty box, and then there's one point where you're trying to climb the penalty box glass to get to their bench.
Yep. Yeah, that whole thing happened. What's crazy, too, is Brendan Witt. He's a great guy. We got to know him after the fact and years after this had happened. But Witter had just gotten traded to Nashville from Washington, and basically he told the whole team, like, let Parker sleep tonight. I just got traded here. I don't want to have to do anything stupid. So let him sleep. And then, lo and behold, Jordan Tutu has to whack me on the legs going up the ice. I'm like, leave me alone, kid. Leave me alone. And he kept whacking me. And then I finally just elbowed him, put him into the corner, and then basically I just tried to fight everybody in the ice. I went up to the goalie. I said, do you want to go? He's like, no, I don't want to fight you. And I asked the ref if he wanted to go, and he's like, what are you talking about, Parker? So I'm in the penalty box.
Jerry's and got it pulled up here.
Yeah, so I wasn't happy that game, but yeah, whoop. What was even funnier?
This was post Avalanche, right?
Oh yeah. This was when I got traded.
The Sharks.
I think this was back in 06, yeah. So that was a lot of fun.
Now there was another little comment in there, and I'm wondering, this is what I kind of want to dive into, and I know our time's kind of limited here, but also in that short little clip from the Fit Soda podcast, go check that out. I'm sure it's amazing. I haven't had a chance to watch the whole episode, but I've seen a couple clips. And I love Chris, and I love what he's doing. And I can imagine having you on there, you two, is going to be an awesome podcast. So definitely go check that out. But there was another part in there or something, and maybe I misunderstood this. I think intimidation was a huge part of your guys' role, right? Like I've watched the documentary Ice Guardians. Love that documentary, by the way. Chris also turned me on to that. But intimidation seemed like it was a huge part of it, right? And I think that there was a point in that clip where you said that you were like in the bus turnaround or something at the Pepsi Center threatening to Uzi up a bus or something like that.
Yeah, I would always plant the seed, or just I would go and change out into my under gear, and I'd go and wait for the guys to get off the bus, and I'd just say, I'm going to break your leg. I'm going to Uzi you if you guys do this tonight. I mean, you just plant the seed, and who knows? I may have done it back in the day. It is a concealed carry state, so but it's just talking to everybody, like hockey's like 80% mental and 20% physical. So like I said, you can have, a Greek god body, but then, you shut down the mind and nothing follows. So it's amazing how you can plant the seed. Even if I get one shift that night, even if I don't play that night, those guys were thinking like, yeah, that guy's crazy. Is he serious? Like, he's not serious, but they're just constantly thinking about that instead of Forsberg scoring or Bork scoring or Hayduk, and like just everybody doing their job. They're worried about me and what I said instead of them, playing the pinnacle and playing their game. You take them out of the game a little bit and you've already kind of won. So it's just not having them be 100% is, better on our end. So, plant the seed. You never know what'll happen.
So was it kind of like a team decision, or was it all solely on you at your discretion when you decided to take the gloves off? And
that's kind of a catch-22 really, because most of the coaches would say it was on them, but it was basically just I knew my role. It's not like you get to this level and then you're like, oh, I have to learn something totally new. No, I did it in every other league below this league, so you kind of know when to respond and what to do and when to go overboard and when to do work on someone. So all those things playing into it. When you get to the NHL, you kind of get a little more handcuffed because it is pretty technical when it comes to, special teams and, we don't want to lose and we don't want you to be a liability type of thing. But, really just being a powerhouse on the ice and just finishing your checks and just, being good defensively. As long as you could be good defensively and, not have them score on you, that was always kind of the mentality with the third or fourth lines was just don't get scored on. It's like, every line gets scored on. How about we just go play our game and see what happens? Just give the guys an opportunity to fail. So, basically that's what it comes to.
That's basically what the Enforcers were doing, right? It was giving those guys some room so they could actually play, I guess. Right?
Exactly. Well, that and too, like talking to my guys that I played with, they said when I was on the bench, I gave them 6 feet of ice to play in. When I wasn't playing that night, they only had 3 feet of ice to play in. So it does make a difference on them being able to be more successful at what they do, to where what I was able to do in my role to be able to be kind of the big brother on the team and like, yeah, you touch them and I'll raise the bar. So a lot of the nights were pretty quiet, but some of the stuff like with Josie Theodore and stuff that happened, we had a home and home with Calgary, the Flames, and I wasn't playing up in Calgary, and Tio was trying to find me after warm-ups, and I'm in the workout room already working out, and Parksy, did you see what happened? I was like, no, what happened? And he's like, Phaneuf did this to me at the red line. I was like, oh, fuck that, piece of shit. And so basically, going in and, telling my coach, like, I'm not playing this game, but you're shooting me for next game. And I didn't take no for an answer. I just said, this is what's going to happen. And it is what it is. So they came down to the Pepsi Center, and basically in warm-ups, I made it apparent that I did not like Phaneuf. And what's crazy enough is Eric Goddard, which is a friend of ours now, he was on the team and he was their enforcer, so he had to kind of get in the middle of it. And then during that game, I was in the corner. I made sure I dumped the puck in Phaneuf's corner so I could go run the shit out of him. And lo and behold, he didn't show up to the puck first, which was, typical. But, I grabbed the puck and he finally comes in the corner, and then I just say, screw you, and I speared him in the balls. And he's down on the ice and I'm hitting him, and then Godsey comes over. I have to fight Godsey. So, it's just you take care of your team, and it is that brotherhood. And if somebody messes with my guy, then I'll raise the bar. So
sounds like fun, man.
It is. It was
I'm
a
sure
lot of
there's
fun.
moments too where you're like, fuck, I don't want to do this, right? Because you've been doing it for 10 or 15 years, right? At that point,
Oh yeah. Well, all the different leagues coming up too. Yeah, it doesn't slow down or
right.
Yeah, so you just keep
I'm sure
going.
It takes a lot mentally to get into that mindset every night, right? Like.
It kind of does, but I mean, I kind of had the switch. My wife says I don't have a dimmer; I have an off and on. So basically, once the switch went, it was like, okay, he's psycho. So that went, and then it was on. But it took me quite a few years to get that switch to be able to flip, and what's even harder is trying to turn it off when you go home at night, because maybe you fought somebody at 10 o'clock at night, and it's not like you're just going to go home and shut her down. There'd be nights where I'd get maybe a half hour of sleep, and I was like, oh my God, I wake up, do it the next, do it again the next day.
But you wish you had some of this back then.
Oh God. Huh? Well, that's why we kind of started the company, and just really having an alternative, because I couldn't take all the pills from Big Pharma, and they would make me sick, and I would throw them up, and then they give me headaches and then more seizures. And I'm like, this is stupid. There has to be something else out there. And unfortunately at the time, there really wasn't that fit my mold and worked for me. So
not to mention you're going through USADA testing and all that sort of stuff back then, right?
Oh, exactly. So they were testing us all the time. Yeah, we had the Olympic testing back in the day, so they were pretty strict on it. And I think now they're a lot more lenient when it comes to at least the cannabis side, because, I mean, if you think of anything that could be bad for you, think it would be alcohol. But it's readily available.
So bad for you.
Everywhere.
I mean, we got a full bar over here, but some of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life have been when I was intoxicated.
Exactly. Yeah, but if you're smoking or doing whatever, all you want to do is, oh, you want to share my last taco? Okay, I'll do that with you, brother. So, it's just, I think, even my wife being a retired police officer, she said she never arrested two stoners going at it, or fighting. Like, if anything, they were hugging it out and like, hey, we have a donut, let's share. Okay. But, obviously you go to a bar and shit's breaking bad. Beer muscles.
You said your wife was a police officer?
Yeah, okay. In Douglas County. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Was she active while you were playing hockey?
She was, yeah. It was really, there was only really a couple wives back in the day that were really kind of had their own things going on, which is kind of odd, but, that's what I respect about her, is she was kind of doing her own thing, and,
shout out to law enforcement.
Exactly.
Too, man.
Yep. Keeping us safe out there. Just don't pull us over.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's great. So going back to, hockey, to compare it to like boxing or MMA or something, it's just a whole nother level of, number one, you guys are on ice. Mm-hmm. Number two, you're wearing helmets and all this extra gear. I'm sure that there's probably some extra padding in there around some rib sections or body shots, I would think. Not to mention you're rolling around at a high speed with a stick, and there's also pucks involved. There's all kinds of different stuff. So at some point, did some of those things kind of become weapons? I see it all the time. Guys stick slashing each other, or just the little jaunts with the stick, or maybe sticking one in a skate. Like,
Well, there's also, even doing like off a face-off, just taking your skate on top of their laces and just cutting their laces, doing things like that. Back in the 80s and probably early 90s is where you had like stick fighting and like slap shot and like, I'm going to carve your eye out. Like, that was still prevalent in those days. And, it was a little scary, So, that you talk about raising the bar, but, they kind of put a kibosh to that because I guess it was a little too rough. But, guys getting cut with skates and, things that even happen just, normally these days. And, guys' wrists. I remember Evander Kane, I think he got one in the wrist and, cut some major arteries. So it's like, holy cow. But then the kid's back in like 2 or 3 months, playing hockey again. So everything's a weapon out there. We'd even use the boards or glass or partitions, or you look at anything on the ice and you're like, what can I use it? Can I use that for my advantage? And, a lot of the time, we try to raise the bar, and
that's all the more reason to have an enforcer, right? Because everybody's got a weapon out there.
Exactly. Yeah. Just depends on who's got the sharpest or biggest or baddest at that day. So, yeah.
Right. So, looking at like professional boxing or like bare knuckle boxing, is probably the closest thing to what you guys were doing, right? Because you guys are throwing gloves, and then under that it's just bare knuckles at that point.
Oh yeah.
And then you're going through padding, but I think, fighters maybe have, I don't know if they're super busy, maybe 6 or 7 fights a year at the amateur level, maybe. Yeah. And then once they get to the pros, it's maybe like 3 or 4 or maybe 1 if you're a superstar, right?
Yeah. If you got the belt, then you're holding all the cards.
How many games did you guys play a season? It's like It's upwards of 100, right?
Oh, well over 100. I mean, 11 exhibition games, 82 regular season, and up to 28 postseason. So, yeah, that's a long.
And back when you played, it was like kind of the standard that if you were going to a hockey game, you were gonna see at least one fight a night,
True.
Sometimes 2 or 3.
Exactly, but that's that whole emotion and that drive and desire to want to win. You know, we didn't fight just to fight and like look at me. Like we did it to change the momentum of the game, or you know, if somebody did a bad hit on our guy, we would raise the bar there. And you know, you just kind of make people accountable at the time instead of, you know, giving them their citation and saying show up in 2 weeks and we're going to pee-pee whack you. So, you know, we take care of it right at that time, so it's done. And if we couldn't get that guy, I mean, there was times where I didn't get a guy for like 2 years, you know, because we didn't play him. He got traded to the East Coast, something happened, and then, you know, it didn't, you know, 2 years later, you know, that's still fresh in my mind that he did that to my guy. I may not even be on that team, but he did it to my guy while I was on that team, so he did it to me. So I'm going to take it out on him. So there's things that we don't forget, and you know.
So did you have a little black book or something where you like keeping notes, like, oh yeah, this fucker last game or whatever, or was it just?
It was all in my mind until my mind got too squirrely to remember all that stuff. But no, it was just stuff it was burnt into your memory because you know it's stuff you really don't forget, and you know it's just like not if, it's when I'm going to get you, and you know that's kind of the mentality of you know I'll get you.
Hey, Jeremy, can you do me a favor? I forgot to hit these 2 lights. Would you mind messing with them just to turn them on? There's a little switch on the back. So I guess with that, who, in your mind, are there some moments that stood out that were just like crazy or the pinnacle of your career? I'm sure winning the Stanley Cup is one of them, but like on the fighting side of stuff, is there a time where you were just like, this is epic, or this is the highlight of my career, or I wish I could go back and relive that moment type of feeling?
Well, I think some of the stuff was just really being able to play the game. You know, the one game against Minnesota, I got to play 10 and a half minutes. So I had, I think, 3 assists that game and either 1 or 2 fights that game. And we had won the game. I was first star, and like it was awesome. It's playing hockey, and it was almost kind of surreal because it was what I remembered it to be. Because unfortunately, when you get to this level, you know, when I broke onto the team, we had superstars, almost 4 lines of superstars. So I'm thinking, how am I going to break this line up? And the only way I'm going to do it is by doing this role. But I would have hoped with that role that I would have been able to play hockey too, because watching Probert and Rick Tocchet and Berube and all the boys back in the day.
Well, I remember you scoring some goals.
Yeah,
like, that's got to feel pretty fucking good.
Oh, it's awesome
too,
because
right?
you're adding something to it that people are like, I didn't know you could do that. It's like, I do it in practice all the time, boys. Like I tell everybody, I'm the best practice player in the league.
Pro hockey and can't score a goal, right?
Exactly.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, exactly. When you get to that level, you can kind of do everything. Everybody thinks that we're Bambi on ice, and no, it's not that. And that's why I kind of missed that show, Pros versus Joes, because everybody, you know, sitting on the couch, you know, eating, you know, chips, they're like, that looks easy. It's like, try it.
Yeah.
Shit ain't easy.
Yeah, we have a lot of UFC fighters on too, and that's always the hate that they get and that sort of thing is just incredible. And these people have these huge mouths, but I doubt anybody would show up at your door and criticize you or one of these fighters, man. It's insane.
Well, that's the thing, and I don't understand in society why everybody thinks they can do everybody's job better than they can do. And I don't think I can do your job better than you. I mean, you do a great job, but people that have that thought process, like, you just want to slap the shit out of them and be like, no, welcome to the real world. So
yeah,
it's just, I don't know. I don't get it these days, but everybody that has comments, you know, like they say, everybody's got an asshole. So, you know, yeah.
I love it. I'm going to adopt that one.
There it is.
That's fucking great. So, yeah, I guess DJ, shout out for being in here. How old were you when your dad was playing like full-blown hockey with the Avalanche or something?
So I was probably from the ages of like, like 9, 10 years old, probably.
Okay,
10,
so you
11.
were a young
I was
man
14 when they won the cup.
Wow.
So I was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was definitely in it and around the room and raised in the room. So it was definitely a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
It was intense.
Yeah, I bet. So did you ever worry about your kids watching you like play the sport, or
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just a job. Like, that's what we always, taught Deej is it's just a job, and it's not who I was off the ice. So, everybody always even asked my wife, like, does he hit you? And she's like, are you kidding me? Like,
Happened all the time.
look at me. Like, you
Really?
think,
Oh yeah.
for one, she's not the type of woman that's going to, take a hit and stick around. Like, she's going to just shoot you and bury you. Like, that's her mentality. So,
Yeah, she's a gangster like
yeah,
that.
you don't mess with my wife, for one. But two, like, it's a job. And people, I don't think understood or realized that, like, I'm just a normal dude. Like, I go to read to kids at school, and I'll do whatever I can, and actually got to know Lewis and Florwax really good back in the day, and went over to Rick's house, and right across the street was a young hockey player, and he's like, it'd be really cool if you can go see him. So I went over to the kid's house, went into his room, and checked all his posters out, and like, that's hopefully something that kid will remember, forever. So
I'm sure. It's so huge.
little things like that you give back that really add up to the big picture, because, it's really just being a good steward and just being a good person and just,
Yeah, just be a good fucking person no matter what
Exactly.
what you're doing, right?
Mhm.
If you're the guy picking up trash on the side of the sidewalk, just be a good person, man. That's
Exactly.
what it boils down to.
Yeah, that or think
That's
the guy
cool,
that's
man.
doing all that stuff too. It goes a long way.
I think a lot of people at your level can't do that, Like, I've met quite a few people that are either pro athletes or whatever, and there's a very few out there that are just fucking genuinely, like, good people. Like, Derek Wolf's one of those people,
he's awesome.
and
Yeah.
now meeting you, for sure, I feel the same way. So yeah, I mean, I commend you guys for doing that. Did you get messed with at school at all, DJ, with your dad being...
I kind of kept it on the DL. Not many
Really?
people knew.
Okay.
I kind of just kept it to myself. But when my dad and his teammates would show up to my games in school, they'd be like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
Were you playing hockey at
No,
a
I
young
never
age?
played hockey. Those are big
Okay.
shoes to fill.
Yeah.
My mom being a cop,
Yeah.
my dad being in the NHL. I didn't want to play sports where you get hit. I'm good. It just
Right.
wasn't for me, Didn't do it. I sparred with my dad in the off season because no one else would do it. That was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. But
Yeah,
an absolute
especially
blast.
being 9, 10, 14 years old
Yeah,
or something.
Well, at this time, I was like, I was
Okay.
out of high school. I was like in college, so I was old enough,
Okay.
and it just wasn't fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me, man. I don't like to get hit.
Yeah.
No thanks.
Yeah, I don't like getting hit either.
It's not my thing.
Yeah, me anymore. Since I got my nose done, I'm good. So, yeah.
Yeah, so going through that, I mean, I'm sure that you sustained some injuries along the way. Was it, were you always injured? Because you're on the ice so much. We just went through how many games you play a season. I mean, I'm sure that's got to catch up with you. Not to mention if you miss and hit a helmet or any number of things can happen out there.
Well,
so you're in a fist fight.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I really started going towards the body, maybe halfway through my career. I used to throw body shots even in juniors and everything too, but I was so tired of breaking my knuckles, and it was just getting annoying.
Skulls are hard, man.
Skulls are hard. Helmets are hard. There's a lot of things on the bodies that's hard, but I'd always go for the floater rib. it takes I think 8 pounds of pressure to pop that thing, and I would try to do that. I would ear cup you. I would neck gouge. I mean, I would do anything I could. Like I tell people, you're in a fight. Like, it's not a tickle fight. I actually tried to hurt guys because I didn't want to fight them 2 more times that game. I wanted to fight you once and be done.
Right.
And then we're good, right? We're good. You had enough. We're good. Okay. But, you throw pillows, or if you're, just going through the motions, then yeah, you're the punching bag in the league and everybody wants to go you. But I tried to hurt guys. That was my mentality was, I hurt you. You remember I hurt you, so you don't want to do this again with me. So
I always kind of wondered what those conversations were at the end of a fight, because it's almost like a little bit of a respect type thing going on. It seemed like sometimes, and sometimes you could lip read.
Oh,
but
yeah.
they never really mic'd you guys up or anything like they do NFL players or anything like that, So I'm just wondering, what is the conversation like at the end of that? Is it what you just said?
Yeah, it's basically sometimes good job,
Are we done?
Or yeah, sometimes yeah, you had enough. I mean, I remember one time I was fighting Louis DeBrusque, and holy shit, Louis was such a tough bastard, like farm boy strong. He's in Phoenix, and I'm fighting him, and Louis and I dropped the mitts, and I'm throwing, and he's hitting me, and he's like, "You done, kid?" I was like, "Nope." He's like, "Okay." So he kept hitting me, and I kept hitting him, and then if he asked me again, "You done?" I was like, "Yeah, we're done now." He's like, "All right, kid." So it's just sometimes it's just as simple as just talking to each other. It's always easy to escalate. It's really hard to de-escalate. So if you went into a fight super, raised and just hyped, and like you had nowhere to go but up, and you're like, oh shit, this is going to go bad. So you always went into it kind of mellow, like, yeah, are we good? Yeah, you want to go? Or, hey, how you doing today?
Right.
Nice plane ride in. Yeah, it was good, and like just sometimes it's just a little bantering, and there's been other times like with Georgie Larocque up in Canada, and he had gotten in a car accident the night before. I'm at the hotel watching the news, and they said George Larocque was in a car accident. I was like, holy shit, I hope he's okay. And, we go to the skate the next morning, and I don't see him around the rink. I was just going to check on him, and don't know him, but fought him enough times where I was like, shit, I respect him for that, and just as a human being. So not around, I'm thinking, oh shit, maybe he's really bad. So, I'm thinking maybe I won't play tonight, but the coaches put me in, and I'm like, all right, cool. So it'll be mellow. And we go to the game that night, and Georgie's in warm-ups. I'm like, what in the shit are you doing out here? We're at the red lines and we're talking, and I was like, you all right? And he's like, no, I'm fucked up. I was like, well, take the night off and make sure you guys don't do anything stupid, and I'll just catch you on the next one. And it was mellow night. Nobody got hurt. I think we won the game, and, that's just that respect factor that you have to have. And you could be the donkey that wants
those little conversations right before you clock in. Really.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is I can try to fight him at 50% and maybe beat him, but I'd rather fight him at 100% and know that I beat the 100% Georgie instead of the 50% Georgie.
Yeah.
So it's that whole mentality, too, and just that respect factor with, I had that happen to me. I'd want one of those boys to go, I got you, take the night off, and, I'll make sure my boys aren't donkeys. So
right.
There's a lot of that goes on, too. And I think enforcer role really,
it's kind of keeping your team in check, too.
It is, but that's the thing, is being able to keep guys in check and making sure things don't get out of whack or guys aren't taking liberties. And that happens on both sides, because even if guys on my team, like we're up 5-0 and they're running around, I'm like, hey, calm the shit down, because you're going to make me do my job when I don't want to do it.
It's kind of like a biker gang mentality a little bit, right? Like you got your sergeant in arms and...
Yeah, you're just kind of doing and just trying to keep the peace when the peace needs to be kept. But when when shit breaks bad, you answer the bell.
This little chat beforehand.
Oh, there's Georgie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the times.
Some good...
Yeah, so this is the time we fought, but it was in warm-ups when we talked, because we didn't fight the game that he had gotten in the car accident the night before. But he's a large human, great guy too. Georgie's a great guy, up in I think he's in Montreal right now. But just
is he coaching now, or
Georgie? I know he's got a little bit of everything going on. He's just he's just into everything.
This was
which
such
is
an
awesome.
awesome time in hockey. I mean,
yeah,
with the Avalanche being an expansion team, not shortly. I think it was 5 years old at that point or something. I mean,
from when after they moved down from Quebec.
Yeah.
I mean, they won the first year in 95, 96, and then we won 5 years later. So
right.
That was awesome. So that was kind of
incredible.
Oh, especially them winning the first year here. Talk about getting fans in the stands. I mean, nothing better than having a cup the first year.
What did you think of the Denver fans after playing here for so long?
No, they were awesome. No, they were great. I mean, even back in the day too. I mean, you couldn't get a ticket to the games. I mean, it was always sold out, and people were excited and hyped. I mean, and then I think a couple of years after I retired, I started seeing like Avalanche tickets in Costco, and I'm like, when in the shit did this change? It's just kind of crazy. But that's right around when they were trying to change the enforcer role too, and doing all that, and just adding 2 to 4.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I kind of dropped off from it unless the Avalanche are in the playoffs or something like that. It's not the same game to me, I guess.
It is different. I mean, it's definitely faster and higher scoring.
I still enjoy watching it, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Well, basically, we just watch the guys that we still kind of know in the league and just support them that way. We got Joe Pavelski down in Dallas on the Stars, and we were really pulling for him this year. I played with him in San Jose, and he's a great kid, and just love to see him be able to hoist it before he's done. And obviously, Joe Thornton, I don't know if he's totally retired yet. He may come back for one more year, but, just want to see like those guys that played all those years, but that's the only thing they don't have is the cup. So, I mean, that's kind of the pinnacle. And I know guys that played, over 20 years that don't have the cup, and it's just like nagging at them that it's just the one thing they couldn't do. And that's kind of the one thing that makes you live on forever in hockey, because it never, goes anywhere. It's always going to be in the Hall of Fame or on the cup. So
I'm so fortunate, man. I was actually part of the local crew at Pepsi Center there back in the day. So I got a few like spot operator calls during the games.
Nice.
And then, that's like one of the best seats in the house.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I got to watch quite a few of your games that season. and just be a part of it and be around it and that sort of thing it's next level when you're actually at the event, you know?
Definitely. No,
Yeah.
I think it does it way more justice. You know, it's kind of like having Beto's knives in front of you rather than seeing them on the
exactly.
internet. I mean,
Same sort of thing.
yeah, you touch them and look at them, and it's just like holy craftsmanship. And, you know, same thing. You know, with the sports, I think even back in the day, too, that's what I miss is, like, they implemented 2 refs, and I'm like, why do we need 2 refs? Because back in the day, you know, the ref's skating up the ice, not looking at you, and you can just hack away at somebody like a freaking redwood tree and try to chop them down and not get in trouble. But, you know, there's 2 refs, and they're like, we're always going to be watching you. It's like, piss off, I'm doing my job. Like,
Yeah.
you know, don't take my job away from me. But, you know, it's obviously something that I think they didn't like at the top because it's obviously something they can't control either because, you know, try to control emotions. And, you know, that's, you know, one of the big reasons why we did it too was, you know, it's just there was a need. You know, we filled that role, and it's amazing how many games, you know, I even think back on that we changed the momentum and we won, or we planted the seed to really, you know, take one over on that team maybe the next time we played them.
Intimidation, right?
Exactly.
Who's in your bus?
Just barking and screaming and just doing, you know, yeah, it was fun.
So has that the demonizing of the enforcer role or to stop fighting in hockey? Because it hasn't completely stopped, right? Like,
No.
but it's pretty frowned upon now. Like, it's huge fines.
It can be different. I mean, you can still get in 3 fights in a game. You can do all that stuff. But like, even I think is it the Q? Are they the ones? The QJMHL or whatever the hell they're called. Yeah, OHL. So you got a couple junior leagues up in Canada that are actually banning fighting,
Altogether.
which I think is bullshit because it's almost like teaching kids to hit. You know, nowadays, like, they don't teach, you know, little 8-year-olds how to hit. They wait until they're 12 or 13 or 14 to be able to actually have body contact, which, you know, can be, I think, really bad at times because if you teach kids younger and have them be more aware of their space on the
Just
ice
confidence.
and confidence and really teaching them how to rub people off or teaching them how to do certain things. It's better to teach them younger and let them implement them into the game rather than just one season, oh, now we get to hit. It's like, okay, what is that? How do you do that? So then you have something totally new you're teaching them rather than being able to teach them since they were super young to be able to just rub little things off or because back in the day we used to be able to put sticks on guys. So guys knew we were there and we'd rub them off or do whatever. But now you can't touch them, and now you got to pick 50-50 which way they're going. And
So it is trickling down into those lower leagues, right?
Oh, God,
following
yeah.
suit from the
yeah,
NHL.
well, that and like little stop signs in the backs of little kids' jerseys and everything because you're not supposed to hit them from behind. But
that's just like a spoken rule, right?
yeah, but I mean, even when we were littler, we didn't have stop signs, and we knew better than hit somebody from behind.
Right.
Like, it's kind of like the unwritten rule you even learn when you're 7 years old. You're like, yeah, don't hit him from behind. Okay, like, yeah, it doesn't take.
So now
a
they
rocket
actually put a full-on stop sign on their back.
on little kids,
Wow.
jerseys and everything like that. Don't hit him from behind. It's like, okay, I get it, but even watching the NHL
It's
though
like little
too.
microcosms of society. Like,
Yeah,
exactly.
just getting
Everything
softer.
Just
and
dumbing
softer
it
and
down.
softer.
Like,
Yeah.
quit it. Like, like, if the kids are taught, they know better, they do better. But
Yeah.
watching some of the guys in the NHL that either diving or just seeing a check coming and they turn their back to them, and it's like, that's chicken shit. Take the hit or get the fuck out of the league. Like,
Yeah.
you're just pussifying it. Like, quit it. So, that's the one thing I don't like is, I came from that rough and tumble. Like I said, you went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. Hey, fun. And everybody was excited for it. But nowadays, like I said, I don't want to have more emotion watching the game than they have on the ice doing the job. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So DJ brought up a few minutes ago cross training with you and that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Or sparring with you.
Mm-hmm.
So were you doing some fight training like outside of your daily obligations when you were, playing professional hockey? I'm sure that, being a pro athlete and knowing you guys work your asses off, man. I don't think a lot of people appreciate how much time you actually do put into being physically fit, eating well. It's a full-time, it's an overtime job.
It is. Well,
Yeah.
plus I'd be at the rink 6 to 8 hours a day. Everybody thought we were there 2-3 hours. Oh, you have the easiest job. I was like, come with me one day and see what we do. But
Right.
traditionally, when it comes to the workouts, we were kind of done with traditional workouts, and I was kind of done with weights that had numbers on them, towards the end of my career. So basically at our ranch down in Sedalia, we started basically the first American Ninja Warrior. So we had like ropes, we had, it was almost like kind of military training too. We had tires you're flipping, we have tires you're hitting, we had rings, we had ropes, we had all sorts of stuff. And then the last stage was a gun range. So you had to grab the gun.
Sounds like tactical games.
Oh,
shit.
it was awesome.
Have you guys seen that?
Uh-uh.
It's pretty badass. Yeah, the guys get kitted up, and then they have to like deadlift, a bunch of weights, or farmer carry a bunch of weight, and then throw a sandbag over something, then shoot at the end of that.
Oh, that's
right?
awesome. Hell yeah.
You're scoring how accurate you are on target, time.
Yeah.
All kinds of different stuff, but it's pretty cool. We've had a couple of those guys on.
Fight each other too.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to do stuff under stress, and if you just practice in certain scenarios, then you're not ready when shit breaks bad, or you're in a certain area where you're like, like the fight or flight kicks in. You're like, oh shit, yeah, fight's on.
Right.
But like to be able to calm your breathing, to be able to get on target, to be able to knock down those metal, ting, 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 put it down, boom, do a little finish,
It's so much fun too, man. It's
yeah.
like,
Well, it was competition. Like me, I would do it, then my son would do it, and then we had a couple of the younger guys. We'd have them out doing it, and it's just something different rather than your normal looking in a mirror and having proper form. It's like, no, I would cut a tree down and we'd turn them into, deadlifts. And there wouldn't be any handles on it. You had to grab this tree however you could.
Yeah.
And you had to just manhandle it around to get
Farmer
the job
strength,
done.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, why have
or
all
ranch
these
strength, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, well, having all the little, I wouldn't say them prissy workouts, but like easier workouts. Like I wanted to do the tough man / gladiator / military training, just work everything together and, do it that way. And I loved it because, one of the things I used to do was wrap my hands in chains and just punch trees down. And I take the chains off and then I just go to town on the trees. But trying to get the scar tissue and getting everything built up because,
You're not wearing gloves or anything,
no,
right?
11 exhibition games. Usually my hand was broken before the season even started. So,
Really?
Oh, God, yeah.
So you're fighting with broken hands pretty much the entire season.
For the most part. But, as us being athletes, I always thought we healed faster than the normal population. But it wasn't that. I think the doctors just gave us, you're at 80%, you're good, which we're probably at 40. And then, you're at 100%, you're probably at 60. So you're always, if you're not playing injured, you're probably not doing your job right, is basically the mentality we have when we're in that. But it doesn't always bode well for you when you're after, you're retired and quality of life after fact and everything else. You're, like I said, you're in that hockey bubble and all you want to do is your job as good as you can that day. Like there's almost like no tomorrow sometimes. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
But wrapping chains around your hands.
Hell yeah.
I remember seeing that in Ice Guardians, and I was like, fuck, that is badass. So you were just basically trying to toughen up your knuckles, right? It makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
So punching trees?
Yep, punching trees.
What else were you doing?
Our neighbor Gary had some bulls, and they used to always push up on the fence. So the one day I was just punching his bull in the head, and I was like, back off the fence. I don't want you over in our yard. So, yeah, just things like that. I would drag my knuckles down buildings and places we're playing until they bled, and just doing things like that to try
like just in the vom going down.
Yeah, just dragging my hand down a brick building the whole way, down a block, and then it'd be bleeding. I was like, perfect, they'll heal tomorrow. So it's just really trying to almost like teach them that it's not going to be easy. And the more I had that mentality, the better the body felt. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So were you getting any sort of like fright training or mixed martial arts training or anything? Like Denver's a hotbed for, with the altitude here, all the camps that we have and all the coaches that are in this area is fucking incredible. That's why we've had so many of them on the podcast.
Yeah, it's awesome now. All that stuff wasn't unfortunately around back in the day.
Not too much.
No, it was all in Cali and different, those major cities, maybe Vegas, but it wasn't prevalent in Denver back in the day. But DU had one of the really good trainers for the hockey team back in the day, and he would invite us down, and that's what DJ was talking about. We would roll around on the mats, and I think the one day he kind of caught me a little bit, so I dropped the mother of all elbows down, and I caught him, and unfortunately gave him your first concussion.
First, yeah.
At least you got it from your dad and one of the baddest motherfuckers in hockey.
I remember it. I got in on him, and I gave him a body shot, and I was so excited that I finally got in on him. and then I saw his eyes roll back in his head, and it was over. And all I just remember is seeing his forearm come at me and just lay me out cold, like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And there was Chris Stewart, who was my roommate. I was living with him in Wojtek Volsky, and Ian LePerriere.
Yeah, Lappy was there.
Hysterically. Like only you, DJ, would get knocked out by your father. And of course, me being me, I went home, told my mom, I was like, Mom, Dad knocked me out. She's like, good, you probably deserved it.
How much trouble were you in?
Oh, I was good.
Yeah.
No, it was just,
I was in more trouble.
Yeah.
An idiot, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's inter-family fun right there. So,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good stories, man.
Oh,
It must have been awesome growing up that way. I would think, man. Like growing up in that environment, I'm sure you were out training with these guys on the Ninja Warrior course. And
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think the part that he's not telling you is that he was wearing overalls and like big work boots, like steel toe, and then he's climbing these like 50-foot cottonwood trees. Or what are they, big willows or?
yeah, the cottonwoods.
Cottonwoods,
Yeah.
And they had Donkey Kong ropes, so he'd climb them just one hand on each rope,
Yeah.
all the way to the top.
no shit.
It
Yeah,
was
I did that
insane.
too.
So it wasn't like wearing like athletic gear. He was in full like I'm out in the.
Yeah, I
Ranch
remember
working
your
gear.
grip strength. I
Mhm.
remember you grabbing a hold of somebody, and like it took like 4 refs to get you off of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And his jersey was a fucking mess. They probably had to give him a new jersey after that.
Robert.
Oh, yeah, that was Proby when he knocked me
That was Bob
squirrely.
Probert?
That was, yeah.
Holy shit.
Well, what's even crazier,
He's
too,
regarded as one of the toughest guys in
he is.
hockey,
Yeah,
right?
but unfortunately, he's not with us
Yeah.
anymore. And, it's sad because he's
That is
definitely
sad.
one of those guys that would definitely sit down with you and just talk about the old days. And,
really.
that's why we've kind of reached out over the years to a lot of the enforcers and a lot of the guys that I've battled with back in the day. And, like some of them are doing good and some of them aren't. And it's just amazing. Sometimes just a quick call, changes their life immensely. So, just it's that brotherhood. Even though we weren't on the same team, we didn't fight, hand in hand. We might have fought against each other, but, we're still, like you said, warriors at heart. So.
Is that part of Parker's platoon too? Are you guys taking on more than just military guys?
We kind of do military, kind of first responder stuff right now. Like I said, we try to meld, a veteran transitioning with, somebody from the sports world transitioning as well. We'll try to do that if it works and, if it's cohesive at the time. But, it's really just kind of giving the guys what they need at that time to be successful, even if it's just chatting with them on the phone for an hour or two and then, just following up with them. So it goes a long way. Yeah, good old.
Yeah, look at Bob's jersey. It's toast, dude.
Proby.
His neck.
Yeah,
his
he's like that
neck
damn
ring
kid.
Is about like
Yeah. Well, what's even crazier too is
How old was he then when when this happened?
God, I was 20, so he was either 32 or 34. I
Okay.
believe he was a.
So how many seasons did you get to play against Bob?
Oh God, Bob Proby, probably 3 or 4 before he retired. Well, like, even right there, like it's a learning experience for me. I went to go re-grab. I was doing good. Then I went to re-grab, and I grabbed under his armpit, and then he just had free reign of his right. So he just, knocked me squarely with 4 hits, and then I just went out-of-body experience and choked him out. But I got right back up. I was like, hey. I was like, is there a penny on the ground? Let me go check. Nope, no penny, no penny. Okay. But, even the next time
He's
we
ice
played
in his
him.
hand now.
Oh, yeah, he
Yeah.
hit me pretty square. That's legit. But, we faced off later that year, and I was just like, oh, shit, Proby, I'm sure you want to rip my head off and you hate me and all this stuff. And he's like, kid, he says, I've been there 1,000 times. You're going to have a long career. Keep up the good work. And I was like, oh, shit, okay. So that's basically.
Was he a guy that might have been like somewhat of a mentor, or somebody where you got some of your style from?
Definitely.
Like
No, I mean, he's definitely somebody I looked up to once I kind of took that role on. Everybody wants to be, Wayne Gretzky and, get 300 points a year and, get your jersey retired in every barn and, just go out on top.
Right.
But it doesn't happen that way for all the guys. So, sometimes you just have to fill that role that's available at the time. So that role was Enforcer back in the day, and jumped in.
So what was it like, I guess, getting on the ice with him the first time, like getting on the ice with a mentor or something like that?
Oh,
That's
Proby,
very-
I was kind of giddy. It was funny earlier in that game, and that was at McNichols back in the day when it was still around before Pepsi. And I remember like it was yesterday.
Did you guys, the Avalanche started at McNichols? I guess
Oh,
they
yeah.
did.
Yep,
huh?
yep.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
shit,
was
I didn't even realize
Old
that.
barn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how old I am.
Yeah.
So, but being able to do that, and earlier in the game, I think it was maybe 1-0 us. We were up, but Proby would play 10, 12 minutes a game, and I'm sitting on the bench watching him play because I'm a rookie, and I got to maybe play. I maybe had 3 shifts that whole game or something like that, and Proby had maybe 15 or 20, and I'm just watching him skate around and do all this stuff. And the one time I'm out against him, I'm like, "Hey, Proby, this may be one of my only shifts, and you want to go?" And he's like, "Not now, kid." I was like, "Okay." And I went on my way. I was like, I'm not going to slash him or make him mad or have that switch go either. So I was like, okay. But then, in the third period, I think we were winning 4-1 or something like that, or 4-0. And I feel this tap on the back of my legs. "Let's go, kid." And I turn around. Okay. So it was just,
I was like, yes, sir.
Exactly. I was like, yes, Mr. Probert. Whatever you want, Mr. Probert. And, but it's just, that respect factor, and I really looked up to him and everything he did in every league, and he was the pinnacle of an enforcer back in the day.
That's super rad, man. What an incredible career. Well, I could keep you here for hours, Scott. I know we're kind of coming up on time. If you have a few more minutes to hang out, I'd love to spend it with you.
Definitely, brother. Well, I plan on coming on again, too.
Yeah.
So.
Anytime you guys are coming down the hill and want to stop by, you're welcome anytime, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I love having you guys in. And that's kind of what we do here. We have recurring guests like you guys were looking at these arrowheads when you walked in. We've had Donnie on like 4 or 5 times now. And I'm trying to keep it a kind of a small community and just people I want to talk to, really. It's my own selfish greed, really. So I definitely could spend hours with you, Scott.
Definitely.
Rehashing old stories and just cool shit. And I'm sure there's a lot going on right now. So I didn't mean to just dive down your hockey career. I'm sure every podcast you go on, it's kind of the same conversation where it's just like, what was it like then? I'm sure I don't think that you get tired of it, but it gets, going through the same thing. So let's take the little bit of time that you have left, if you're okay with it, and let's talk about kind of what you got going on now. We covered Parker's Platoon a little bit. We covered Taboo Social Club, right?
Yep.
Okay. And is there anything else that you guys are doing? I mean, other than just enjoying life right now, or you got anything coming up? Any big events coming up with these companies or anything like that?
No, we definitely do. Actually, July 15th, we have a really cool promotion that's actually, it's new. It's
that's right. You were telling me about this before we started rolling here.
Yep.
Okay.
So it's Ice Wars International. It's basically 2 enforcers being able to go on ice in 2 1-minute rounds. It's pretty quick, pretty fast.
So it's a full-on fist fight.
Full-on fist fight with
on ice.
4-ounce gloves. So you have those on. So you have protection, and you got your helmets on with leather straps. So everything usually stays pretty tight. And
so there's going to be no ripping of the helmets off.
No ripping of the helmets. Yeah, no jerseys. No McSorley with jerseys or Rob Ray with jerseys coming off. So. Just doing that. So July 15th up in Cheyenne, Wyoming, Outlaw Saloon. So we have that going on. We're going to be up there days prior to the event, doing a bunch of meet and greets and stuff, and really just trying to get this promotion taken off. And
that's awesome.
It gives guys opportunities that did my role and maybe didn't get to my level, but they still have something that they want to, prove to people. Like I am the best at this weight class, and it's like, well, go prove it. Let's see what you got. So it just gives guys a platform to be able to do what they do.
Are you putting on the gloves at this event? Or
No. I may be some coaching down the road.
Okay.
We're going to do some stuff throughout and just, kind of build it as it comes and just see where it goes from there. But, giving these guys a different opportunity, because not everybody that retires gets to be GM of the team that we played for or even has a job after the fact. So guys,
are a lot of these guys that are fighting, can we name drop some of them, or is the cards? I'm sure the card's been made so far.
Yeah. Actually, I have the president of Ice Wars with us right here, Charlie.
Perfect.
So, he can help.
Guys, we're not going to name drop the roster. The press release is coming out tomorrow afternoon. But I will say it's some of the toughest guys you've ever seen put skates on. Scott can attest to that. What's going to be wild in Cheyenne, it's our first venue in the States. So we chose a smaller venue. And the people that are there live are going to be ringside.
It's a saloon.
It's a saloon. And these people will be subject to an event that they've never seen so close before. It's going to be broadcast on LiveX Live, Live 1, and Brinks TV as well for pay-per-view. But in the event itself, I've been to the 3 we've had in Canada now. And every seat in this event is a ringside seat. So you're going to literally be sitting 20 to 30 feet at the furthest from hockey fighters.
July 15th, right?
July 15th.
I'm going.
Galveston,
Yeah, brother.
Cheyenne.
It'd be fun.
Cheyenne's a short ride, man. That's
Yeah, it's not
nothing.
bad.
Yeah.
Right up the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it'd be great to have everybody out and have a new promotion coming out that just, like I said, gives guys another platform to show what they can do best. So, yeah, we're excited for it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, brother.
That's awesome. How do people get tickets if they is it sold out already, or what's the status?
All the VIP tables have been sold. I'm not sure on the status of the tickets yet, but I'm sure it's pretty close to sold out. You can go to iwifights.com or the Outlaw Saloon on Facebook, and tickets are for sale. There's also
That's a pretty big place.
Yeah, it's 28,000 square feet, so it's actually going to be pretty amazing. But where the rink is set up for the seating is incredible, because literally some of the seats you would be able to almost touch the fighters.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be a wild event live. I've seen it in larger venues in Canada, and it's probably the most amazing fights I've ever seen.
Jeremy, is there any footage that we can pull up of?
There is actually. Yeah. If you just go to Ice Wars International, there'll be all kinds of stuff on there.
Yeah, there's some good
They even had us
Good
on the
promo
Gutfeld
videos.
Show on Fox
Yeah.
News.
I mean, if anybody wants to call out Scott Parker, they can try.
Who's gonna do that, dude?
You know, like if nobody wants to try to the real sheriff.
Right.
Yeah. I'll be the sheriff of Ice Wars.
Well,
baby.
it's not gonna be me. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, this is a good
Footage coming
video.
now, guys.
Okay, so the ring's set up like hockey boards and everything. This is like a hockey fight.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
There's
What's
two
cool-
referees. It's called the Ice Box.
So are you guys putting ice in the bar?
Yes, we are.
No shit.
This is incredible. It's 2 1-minute rounds, and there's no draws in our league. There's a 30-second icebreaker. So if at the end of 2 rounds, it's judged to be a draw, the guys go out for a 30-second icebreaker, to decide the event.
Yeah, that's what's crazy. You never know what's going to happen.
So if you can't do this in the NHL, you just make your own fight league and do it there.
Exactly. Well, also guys that didn't make it to this league, as well as them kind of demonizing the enforcer role and not giving these guys an outlet or something in the future to do. So that's what we're, Charlie and the whole crew at Ice Wars is trying to do, is build this so they do have an outlet and, make some good money and, show your skills.
It's awesome.
Maybe
Sounds fun.
Maybe
I
we're
love all
wear the crown,
combat.
baby.
Yeah, I love all combat sports, so
Yeah.
major fan of that. So if I can get the availability, maybe Jeremy and I will cruise up there.
That'll be awesome, bro.
Oh,
That'd
yeah,
be
we'd
super
love to have
rad.
you guys.
Come support
Yeah.
you guys. Awesome, Scott, man. Thank you so much for your time. I want to be respectful of it, but I want to have you back for sure. Anything that you want to drop before we go? I know it's Scott Parker _27 on Instagram.
I believe
right?
so. Yeah, something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Go give Scott a follow. And then Taboo Social Club is on there. Do you guys have a page for Parker's Platoon? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Parker's Platoon.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Look that up, Jeremy. Let's give him a follow because I'm not sure that we're following that one. But yeah, go give him a follow. More importantly, go to the website, support these guys with Parker's Platoon, especially because I think it's so rad what you guys are doing. Anytime that you guys need a platform or any help with that, I'd be glad to help in any way that we can. So
Well, I appreciate
that's
it.
It's super important to me, supporting veterans, first responders, active military. I think we owe a lot more to them than they actually get a lot of the times. And so
Yeah, well, a huge shout out to our active and our retired, servicemen and women out there, because we couldn't enjoy days like this if they didn't
100%.
sacrifice and do what they did in the past. So, huge shout out to them, and they're the real Mac Daddies. So really appreciate them and what they do.
yeah, me too. And I know a lot of our listeners feel the same way too. So yeah, definitely support these guys. Scott, thank you so much for your time, brother.
Thanks, brother.
This has been awesome.
Hell yeah.
Let's end this thing. DJ, anything else?
No, just thank you for having us in your studio, man.
Yeah,
Pleasure to be here.
absolutely, man. We'll get you guys back.
Yeah, go Sharks, go. Huh?
All right, thanks, brother. Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. Also, if you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.